Oh, you're back.
Well, that was fun.
It happened.
Thanks, Clement. All right, 10 minutes behind. Let's get this puppy rolling. So is anybody here that can share the screen, or is it still on me?
I think Jeffrey said.
Sorry?
I think Jeffrey said we were going to wait for Rana.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Turn on video. There we go. Okay. Sherry, do you have a link to the competition submissions?
Yes, I do. Let me get that for you.
So that's a tawakkul. And of course, my piece, it's more symbolic. It's not like as literal as actual sea splitting. And the the waves like rising above her, they represent you know like problems incoming, and it feels like there's no other way. You feel like you're stuck, or it's like you have to hold your breath, but then you have to pause for a second, and you have to think that Allah always has what's best for you, right? And I also added her umbrella as symbolism, which means that she's doing her part, her best to like do her part. And there's a hadith where someone asked Prophet Muhammad SAW, should you trust yeah, and should you trust in Allah and tie the camel, or should you just like don't tie the camel and then trust in Allah? And he said, tie the camel and then trust in Allah. So that's like kind of what the umbrella represents. And then I also added that she has to keep moving forward. She's walking forward in her path. So like it's part of your duty to keep moving forward. You can't just stay in the same place, right? And then the storm clouds, they represent the future. The future can be scary. And one part about having tawakkul is to let go of that anxiety, because whatever Allah has for your future is the best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. I really love your piece. Great work here. Your use of colors is beautiful. I like that there's like a slightly different shade between the figure and the waves, but all the colors just work really well together. I like that you drew inspiration from Musa alayhi salam's story, but I like that the figure is a woman and more personal that way. So if you don't mind, I have a couple questions. Could you tell us a little bit about the technical parts of it? Like tell us how you built it, like start to finish, kind of what tools you used. Walk us through that.
Yeah, so basically this is a digital art piece. So I used a digital software called Metabang. It's a free art software. So First what I did is I sketched in my sketchbook. I took a picture of it, and then I uploaded that picture into the software, and then I basically made a transparent layer on top of it, and then I lined it with like a marker pen in the software, and then I deleted my sketch layer, and then I added color like with the paint bucket tool and like filling in and different things. And I have to say the waves were a bit of a challenge, because I could have gone easier if I just separated the color layers, like made it separately to make that the shading, like the but I did it, so I had to like manually trace over all the waves. It was like making myself suffer, but yeah.
So is this raster or was this vector art? Were you drawing points in order to make the shapes?
No, it was more like I guess painterly or like illustration wise. Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Very cool. And the lightning, did you draw that as well?
Yeah. What I did for that actually, it's something I've done before. I draw the lightning and then I duplicate it and then I set it on a Gaussian blur with a different color. So like it looks glowy.
Right. And regarding the textures, the one that I see at the top of the waves.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's the shading I was talking about that I was making myself suffer with. Like I used a lasso tool. Like I traced over each wave. I color picked the color and then I darkened the color, and then I used I think a chalk brush was what I used, or it might have been a crayon brush. I don't remember.
Amazing. Okay, well, I think those are all the questions I have. Mahmoud, any other questions?
I guess just related to the story itself, is there any specific hardship you were envisioning when you were creating this piece? Like, I know that you related to the story of the Prophet, but was there anything that's specific to kind of your background?
I mean, honestly, not really, but my mom's like friends, like, they are like struggling, like they don't have a job. And like, of course, during COVID, people are losing their jobs and, they're unsure of the future. They don't know what they're going to do now. I guess that's also part of my inspiration.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Oh my God, help us all. You're right.
Okay, well,
Right.
thank you
Any
so much.
questions?
Mira. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amira. Take care.
See you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Awesome.
Alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I'm just going to share your piece so that we have it on the screen, and then you can jump into your interview with the judges.
Can you see my camera now or no?
No, I can't.
No, you'll have to turn it on.
Okay.
And she left. Axel, you're going to have to turn on your camera again.
Okay, so it says the camera is on, but it's not showing anything.
Just press it again 2 more times, don't worry. There you go.
Okay, yes.
There you
There
go.
we
Awesome.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, Alexa. How are you?
I'm good. Walaikum assalam. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
Alhamdulillah.
really excited to hear about your piece.
Thank you. Should I just say a little bit about it before we get started?
Yeah, take 2-3
For
minutes.
sure.
Tell us about it.
Yes. So the piece I did was obviously centered around an eye, and that is primarily because every time I go through any sort of adversity, I always try to kind of face it head on and have an open attitude about it, because I always feel like there's two ways to look at something. There's a negative perspective and then there's a positive perspective. So when I'm going through an adversity, I focus on self-reflection and trying to figure out what I can kind of learn from it. And I originally made this piece for regionals, but it's kind of ironic considering, unfortunately, it's kind of ironic considering current circumstances with COVID-19, especially in the beginning, because it was really difficult kind of adjusting to everything. And at times I felt like there was nothing I could do because there was no end in sight. The governor kept pushing off the quarantine date. And even now, I don't know what's going to happen with school and what's going to happen moving forward. And the only thing I kind of find myself saying is, inshallah, it's going to get better. And inshallah, we're going to move past this. And when we come out, we're going to be much stronger, because this gave us an opportunity to learn about ourselves and spend time with our families, which is one of the reasons why I did galaxies, because galaxies kind of portray, there's so much openness about them, and there's something scary, but there's also something very beautiful that if you pay attention, you can gain from them.
Very nice. All right. Should we just jump into the piece itself? Can we talk about the method that you used to create it? Like, what was the process in order to create this piece right here?
So initially what I did, I was kind of influenced by Impressionist paintings, because I really wanted to kind of portray my own emotions while I was creating this piece. And I started off by creating a basic layout for the eye, because that's what I wanted for it to be centered around. Then I started to use acrylics and watercolor for the eye itself. And then after I was finished with that, then I went ahead to kind of create the drip effect, which was to kind of symbolize tears and how it is a painful process to kind of go through this adversity. But in the end, it's going to turn out much better, which is why I use such colorful colors that not only symbolize the galaxy, but like I felt such a cool palette would kind of connect to the audience in a different type of sense. And then the last part that I focused on was actually writing inshallah in Arabic, because I wanted that to have the most attention. because to me that was the
Right.
most important part of the piece. And then after that, I focused on the eyelashes because one of the scariest things about drawing eyes for me is the eyelashes. 'Cause I make them really, really wonky most of the time. So
You did a really great job on them. I like the eyelashes a
you.
lot, actually. I just had a comment. You wanted the focus to be the statement, inshallah. Why did you go for black on the dark purple there?
Black on the dark purple. So what I wanted with the dark purple was for it to kind of blend in with the background. I guess what I could have done was I could have highlighted the inshallah with a white acrylic, so for it to make it pop out more. So if I was to do something like that again, that would be something that I would change.
Mhm.
But I thought that they blended in really nicely because the outline of the eye was in black, and then the cornea was white. So the purple part really kind of shone through. If I did a lighter color, that wouldn't have popped out as much.
For sure. All right, that's it from me.
Tell us a little bit more about why you chose an eye.
So the reason I chose an eye, because I personally find eyes quite fascinating. They're so vital in our form of communication, because when you're talking to someone, you look at them in the eye or you don't look at them in the eye, and that says something about the type of relationship you have with that person. But more than that, they say a lot about emotions. Usually when a person is feeling sad or when they're feeling happy, you see the first signs of those emotions kind of appear in their eyes. And I found myself even yesterday when I was talking to my brother a couple of days ago, there was a storm going on the East Coast, and he was scared because the winds were really, really large. And I looked at him in the eye and I said, inshallah, it's going to get better. Inshallah, tomorrow it's going to be all fine. We're going to all be fine. Don't worry. And a big form of that communication was reliant on me looking at him in the eye so he could trust me, and he knew that what I was saying it out of sincerity and not just making up stuff from my hands, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Allah Hafiz.
Khudafis.
All right, I'll bring in the next competitor, Aram.
Thank you, Rana.
Assalamu alaikum, Aram. Are you able to turn on your camera and your microphone?
Assalamu alaikum. Hi.
Walaikum salam. Rana, can you activate the stream again? Rana?
Yeah, just doing that right now. Just give me a second. Sorry, guys.
No problem. Well, in the meantime, Aram, Sherry and I both remember vividly your piece. So could you give us an explanation on the inspiration for it?
Yeah, so I wanted to connect different aspects of surrealism and basically just wanted to highlight the different challenges that a person can face and how Allah will always be there to ease their worries and guide them to the right path. And so the maze is what represents like the different obstacles, and the hot air balloon is what's like guiding them to their next path.
It's very beautiful. Now, Sherry is okay. I guess the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this was it looks like it's a lot of work. How long did it take you to make it? What was the process like for actually creating this?
It took me about like a month and a half.
Oh, wow.
I've done like latex before, but this one was a lot bigger than normal because I wanted to get a lot more like the detail in the maze and the hot air balloon, like creating like the shading and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it took a while.
Can you kind of describe to us like what it actually involves? So
Yeah.
the back here is that canvas, and then you're
Um,
threading through it.
Yeah, so there's basically this tool called a latch hook, and you basically get the hook, and you get a blank rug canvas, and you basically just like go through each line individually and like tie the yarn into the piece.
Do you plan it out before? Like, do you sketch onto?
Yeah. So I drew the picture first, and then I uploaded it digitally, and then there's these different websites that you could use to like pixelate it and identify like, the different colors, and then get like the yarn that like matches the same colors.
Oh, so did you have to draw? You had to draw this digitally with color.
I drew it on paper, and then I just uploaded it.
Got it. Okay, cool. Very cool.
Mhm.
Very interesting. Can you maybe tell us, like, you touched briefly on kind of what the maze represents in that balloon. Can you talk about that a bit more? Like, why did you pick a maze, for example?
Well, you never know what's going to be on like the next like side or like what turn to take, and so just like in life, there's a lot of things that like you're not sure about, and you don't know what obstacles that you're going to be facing. And then for the hot air balloon, like I said before, it's just showing that like it's representing how Allah is like going to be there to ease your worries, and like there's always a solution or like a path for you to take.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about that point. Does it represent that because it's moving towards the sky and that's like what we associate with God, or does it represent that because there's like a way out of the maze? Like, tell me what you mean by that.
Okay, I think both. Because you're getting out of like the hard parts, but you still don't know like what's going to be on like the other side. Like you're still gonna be like faced with different obstacles going through it. And so like for a moment, like you're free from the struggles, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love it. I love the color palette. I love the blues, and the red against the blues is beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. Great.
Transition from maze to mountains to sky is very nicely done. I like that mid-layer white and all of the. And I guess even breaking this up into pixels is nothing trivial. How many dots did you say this was?
It was around 18,000 strands of yarn, so 18,000 different boxes that I had to do.
Very nice job. Really cool.
Yeah, great work. I don't have any other questions.
I think I'm good too.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aram.
Thank you, Aram.
Yeah,
Take care.
Awesome. I'll bring the next competitor in. Her name is.
Can you give us like a minute between
Yeah,
competitors?
don't worry. Yeah.
I just want to write out scores.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Run as like an assembly
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you, Mariam?
Good, alhamdulillah.
Sherry, are you talking? I can't hear you.
Oh,
There we
Can
go. All right, perfect.
okay, Mariam. So why don't you kick us off by telling us a bit about your piece? Take 2 to 3 minutes. Tell us about it and the idea.
Okay, so my piece was about a person climbing kind of a cliff, and I think I wanted to represent like our struggles and our like just the problems that we face when Allah tests us, and I think it shows that we should keep persevering no matter what comes our way. And if we keep faith in Allah and try our best, then we can overcome, inshallah, our problems. Yeah, kind of showing off how it feels like in our minds. And if we keep our iman, then we can overcome our difficulties.
Great,
Very
thank
nice.
you. So we're going to ask you a couple questions. I have a few, if you don't mind, Mahmoud.
Go ahead.
So tell me about the choice to make the figure very vectorized, but I see that the cliff isn't really vectorized. The cliff looks more like stone. Can you tell me about how you chose the different textures for different parts of the art?
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any like human figures, and I just wanted to do it instead of like a black figure. I thought it would be more interesting if I added like a more interesting point of view, putting in different triangles and make it a little bit more interesting than just completely black. And yeah.
Did you intend for it to look like a hijabi?
Yeah, I wanted to. It was actually from online. I just looked up like a Muslim girl, and I edited it to a way where it's like not showing her face or anything. So I thought it'd be more interesting with triangles and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So why don't you walk us through from the beginning to the end how you made the piece? Any tools you used, any images you used from online, what you did to them, anything like that?
This was my first time using like digital art. I wanted to try it. I thought it was interesting and a cool technique. So I first chose a digital art tool, and at first it was like kind of intimidating because there were so many things you could use. But through like YouTube videos, online tutorials, I could find out how to work it. So I first made my background by myself using darker colors going into light, and then I added like stars. If you like zoom in, you can see the details of the stars. And I got the cliff from online, and I made sure that it was dark because I wanted everything to be dark except for the face and the light at the top, because I wanted to show like that's what helps us overcome these adversities. And I got the person from online. I made all the triangles myself, and I made it black and white. And so
Very cool. What's the name of the software you're using here?
Krita, Krita. Yeah.
Very cool.
Did you intentionally make the corner she's climbing towards brighter? Is that supposed to like?
So it's like a mountain, and like below, it's like really hard to. At first, it's really hard to like overcome these difficulties. But if you keep climbing and keep persevering with our iman and her climbing up the mountain, then we can find happiness at the end, which is brighter and happier. And yeah.
Beautiful message. I really like it.
Yeah, especially for your first digital art piece ever. This is absolutely gorgeous. Great work.
Thank you.
Okay, well, those are all my questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you answered everything for me as well. Thank you. I love the message, and I love the work that you've done here.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. I'll bring the next competitor in a couple minutes. It'll be Nazifa.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
All right, I'm ready whenever you guys are.
I'm ready.
Awesome.
Ready to go.
Perfect. I'll bring Nazifa in. Yeah, Assalamualaikum, Nazifa. If you could actually just turn on your video, that would be awesome.
Right. How do you do that?
So if you go to the bottom of the screen and just hover, or no, actually, this is so much easier. Look, are you using a laptop or a phone?
A laptop.
Awesome. So when you look at the bottom left-hand corner above your name,
yeah, I
there
got
should be a
it.
video
Okay.
button. Yeah, perfect.
There we go.
I love being Discord tech support. Oh, here, let me turn on your video,
Assalamualaikum.
and we should be good.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Okay. So, do I start? Assalamualaikum.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I just start?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
So,
Yeah,
Assalamualaikum.
go ahead.
My name is Nazifa, and I painted a picture a few days ago for the Miss 2D art competition. And so this year's topic, the theme was contentment through adversity, and we already know that the theme basically means the idea of finding and seeking a state of happiness and satisfaction through, times of misfortune. So this piece has, like, in the background, you could see that it's lit with the night sky, and like the stars are like quite bright. But actually, this symbolizes darkness, and also the mountains on the bottom, like rugged and stable and like impossible to overcome. So you see that the sky is quite misty and dark. Okay. They both symbolize never ending, and they could both be understood as impossible to overcome. However, in the middle of everything, you could see that there is a bright yellow beam of light, and this yellow beam of light symbolizes contentment. Contentment is a state of satisfaction and happiness. Like, it is a state of satisfaction and happiness. So with that, let's see a man in the middle going through the light and his misfortune, and the misfortune is the darkness around him. The beam symbolizes contentment, and the yellow glow helps the man seek a feeling of happiness in his soul and heart through his misfortune. The misfortune in the painting is lurking in the darkness of the lighted sky. Okay. So we know that Allah likes us to find the best of every situation, and this painting pretty much symbolizes that, because the man is trying to find some brightness in the middle of his dark situation. And yeah, you could see that the yellow glow. Okay. So, and finding contentment through adversity is one of the many things that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a man must do his best to seek happiness and satisfaction through his difficulties and misfortune. This painting was made through many ideas, and it took some time, and I didn't really know how to get it done, but the colors seem a little bright
for the situation, but you can see that the night sky symbolizes never ending and like it's impossible to overcome. The galaxy is of course infinite and it's impossible. And the mountains seem really dark and impossible to go through. So yeah.
MashaAllah. Very nice.
Okay.
Beautiful piece. It gives me some serious superhero vibes. The figure in the middle and the pose, it's very superhero-like. I actually wanted to ask you if that was intentional.
The man in the middle, it's like he's going through some spiritual beliefs and finding happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Great work. And the silhouette of the
Thank you.
mountains at the bottom, very well defined. How did you paint the sky? It kind of looks a little splotchy, like you used a sponge or something. I'm curious.
I just use watercolors.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get it to get that effect?
The paints I used were actually glittery and sparkly.
Okay. Very
So
nice.
I like swirled around with them and did some testing with it.
How long have you been painting for?
It took me about like 3 hours. I actually am a procrastinator and I started on the last day it was due. And it took me about 3 hours.
Very nice. MashaAllah.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So have you been painting for a long time, aside from this picture?
I really like painting and like art stuff and stuff, but I don't really get time to do such because schoolwork and busy. But if I had the time and the supplies, it would be really helpful to start painting. My sister is actually pretty good she's a good artist, but I take some advice from her for painting. So.
Did she submit a piece of art for this competition as well?
Yes, she did. It was, I don't quite have it.
No problem. You don't have to go get it. It's okay.
All right. Okay, thank you.
All right, that's it from me.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Assalamu
Nafisa. Wa alaikum
Thank you.
salam. Bye.
Awesome. I'll bring the next competitor in, and I'll give you guys a couple more minutes. Is that right?
Thank you.
Okay. So the next competitor, just for your information, is Noreen.
That was a funny reaction. I like it.
I am excited.
Good to go on my side.
Yeah, me too.
Looks like we lost Rana though.
Awesome, Noreen. Can you just turn on your mic as well as your camera? That'd be great.
Hi, I don't know how to turn on my camera.
Bottom left corner, you'll see a button that says video. There you go.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
go.
So
Alaikum salam.
How are you?
Nureen?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. So,
I'm very
Sherry and I... Sorry, Sherry, go ahead.
I'm so excited to hear about your piece. I really loved it.
Thank you.
Actually, when I looked at it, I had like an audible gasp.
Thank you.
Yeah, so why don't you take 2 to 3 minutes and just kind of tell us a little bit about it and the idea behind it, and then we'll ask you some questions.
So I really wanted to connect my piece to the theme in a way that I kind of related to the theme myself. And when I first read into the idea of trusting the process and having faith in Allah and all obstacles, I kind of related that to how I feel when I'm overcoming my obstacles. And I just thought about how everyone in life has their own hardships. And for me, that kind of feels like when you're underwater and you feel suffocated and you feel like there's no way of escaping this hardship. And so I wanted to create a piece that kind of conveys that message of actually reaching the air and getting that fresh breath and getting your head above the water and overcoming those obstacles. And I use a lot of artistic elements to convey this idea. So the lighting in the painting, it has the lighting coming from the right side, which kind of symbolizes how Allah is always with you and how if you follow him, he's going to guide you to the right path. And if you have faith in Allah, he will help you overcome your obstacles and get your head above the water. And a lot of the elements I used, I like to use like a lot more simple and contrasting colors in my pieces. So the contrast of the peachier skin tone contrasts with the blue of the water, which makes the focus of the piece stand out on the body and how the body is trying to come over the water. And from afar, the piece looks quite continuous, but if you zoom in, it's created with a lot of random brushstrokes. And that kind of connects to my love of like abstract art because it's not really realistic looking. And it also connects to the idea that like everyone in the world, they have this perfect life from afar, but if you actually get to know them and look at them on the inside, everyone has their own hardships and they're all dealing with their own struggles, and it's far from perfect if you actually get to know people. So it's just conveying this idea that no one is alone when we're overcoming our obstacles and dealing with different difficulties in our life, and how it's really important to just trust Allah and have faith that whatever we're going through, he will guide us to the right path and help us get our head above the water.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So your piece is very beautiful. I'm curious as to how long you've been painting for. What other kind of pieces do you do? Are all of them of this same flavor? Are they all abstract like?
So I've been painting and just doing any form of art in general, like pretty much my whole life. I've always just had a love of art and drawing, and I mean, I even do like calligraphy and stuff. I've gotten a lot more into that recently as well.
Very cool.
I definitely focus more on abstract pieces. I don't really like realistic drawings. It's just not really my style. I like more abstract pieces.
Now, how much of this was pre-planned and how much of it was freestyled when actually laying down the paint?
So initially when I first heard the mist theme, I already had it in my head that I was going to do something where like it was a body coming out of the water. I just related that to the feeling of being suffocated and not being able to like get a fresh breath when you're going through anxieties or stresses, and I just kind of went with that idea.
Right.
I wasn't really sure of the actual techniques I was going to use until I just got the materials and I chose acrylic paint and I just kind of went with it, and I really liked how it turned out. It was very natural, and that's kind of how I feel when you're going through an obstacle. You don't really plan it out, you just kind of do whatever you feel will help you get through that. And yeah, I think it worked. I think it came out pretty good.
It came out fantastic. It's actually extremely difficult to try to do like silhouetted reflections on the underside of water. And Sherry and I were both commenting on the fact that that kind of... Oh, did we lose her? I think we lost her. Oh,
I just popped her back.
we lost you for a second. Okay, thank you.
If you could just turn on your,
Can you still?
camera. Yeah, there you go. Awesome.
There we go. Can you still hear us? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, that's actually. Oh, that's what stuck with me the most. There is the fact that you're able to do the underwater reflection so well at the top.
Yeah, I was
Thank
really curious if you used. Did you use a photo reference?
I just kind of looked at pictures of like things underwater and like the water reflection itself just to kind of see like actually how it looks so I can kind of get that shape down of like a figure underwater and like kind of the reflection. But yeah, I just kind of went with that. I didn't look at anything too specific.
Awesome.
Really cool. All right.
Was it
That's it from me.
Sorry, I have a lot of questions. Was
Go ahead.
it a conscious decision to not paint hair here? I was wondering.
Yeah, I didn't want to make it too realistic. I didn't want there to be any sort of like definitive gender either, because I knew if I drew a woman, it would kind of be conflicting with like depicting a woman, especially in Islam. I don't want to create something that could be seen as like haram. I didn't want to show a woman without hijab or anything. So I kind of tried to keep it as neutral as possible. Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, thank you so much. I love your piece. It's great.
Thank you so much.
I would buy it and put it on my wall.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'll just drop you back into the waiting room, and we'll bring in the next competitor. Sorry, she was mid-sentence. All right, so I'll give you guys a couple more minutes just to gather your thoughts, and then I'll bring in the next competitor, inshallah.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Are we ready? I'm ready when you guys are. Cool. Let me just share her piece and bring this next competitor in. So this next competitor is named Samia. So just turn on your microphone as well as your video. Can you hear me, Samia? I talked to her a couple seconds ago, so I hope.
Samia, are you able to hear us?
Okay, she just turned on her mic, and then you can turn on your video by just clicking the video button on the bottom left. Oh, you went mute again.
Samia, can you unmute?
Awesome.
There we go.
Great.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam. Oh, can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear us.
Assalamu alaikum, Samia, can you hear us?
Assalamualaikum. Yeah, I can't hear you guys. Okay, let me figure that out.
Oh, she just deafened herself, hopefully. Can you hear us now, or? Okay.
Oh.
No, she just turned off her video. I think she's gonna reset
Okay.
her settings. All right, we'll just
Assalamualaikum,
give it a couple
sorry.
minutes to. Awesome. So now I guess just turn on your
Yeah,
video. Can you
okay.
hear us? Yay!
There we go.
Okay, so should I start?
Yeah, just tell us a
Go
little
ahead.
bit about your piece. Take like 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, so Assalamualaikum. My name is Sami, and this is my painting right here. So, with the theme, trusting the process, finding contentment through adversity, I decided to kind of portray that through a single person's perspective. Because when you're reaching for a goal, realistically, you're the only person working towards that. You're the only person that can actually make a difference. You're the only person that can bring yourself closer towards what you're reaching. So, okay, so everyone knows that everyone has a goal. Whether people know about it or they don't, and it's deep within them, everyone has a goal. And so that goal gives us purpose. But with goals, there are hardships and trials. And not every trial is easy or people see it. Some trials can be big, small, very short, or they can last someone's entire life. But everyone has them. The beauty in trials is that no matter how hard they are, if someone is persistent in what they want to achieve, they'll be able to reach it. So in my painting, I decided to represent the kind of goal and dream, whatever may be materialistic, spiritual, mental, physical, whatever it is. It's a gold orb because it's kind of just like when you see something like that, you know its value. You see value. And so in the painting, there is a hand in the center, and that hand represents people who are going out of their way to push towards a goal, to work, and to go through whatever they need to. Now, going through the hand, there's this barrier. Now, this barrier, it's small, but the person who's trying to reach for their goal, they can't see through it. They can reach through because they know that the goal is on the other side, but they don't know what lies on the path between those two destinations. Now, on the other side of the barrier, there are snakes. Now, these snakes mean two things. First, the literal denotation, which means like the actual animal, the snake. Now, snakes are scary. Almost everybody thinks that. And when you see a snake, you're frightened. You don't get what's going to happen. You can't expect a reaction out of a snake. You just know it's danger. And so if you see a snake on your path, you're not going to take that path. You're going to take a long detour. You're not going to even try to get past it. So it's something that deters you from the straight path. Now, the second meaning of the snakes is people who are one way in your face and they're one way behind your back. They may seem to care for you. They will talk to you. They will try to help you. But in reality, they don't care. They want what you are going to get. That's why they're helping you, because they want to get there before you can. And so the thing is, because that barrier is short, although you can't see the path that leads to the goal, other people around you can. Now, although they can't see the whole thing, they can see bits and pieces, and they can try to give you their opinions, they can try to help you. That's why people have advice, because they kind of know what you're going through, and they're trying to help because they've been something similar, but they don't actually know what it feels like. That's why you're the only person in the picture, because you're the only person experiencing this hardship. And no matter what hardship it is, you know that there's a goal in the end. So why not just keep going?
Great,
That's
thank
it.
you.
You're welcome.
We're going to ask you a couple questions, if that's okay.
No problem.
Okay, so I can start. I love that when I look at this piece, I feel something and I feel uncomfortable when I look at it. Like it's very surrealist. I can see that inspiration in the best way. Like it's really, really great. I like that the hand doesn't continue off to the side of the painting and that it's kind of chopped there. That feels very jarring in a good way. I think you did a really great job with the shadows and the highlighting, especially like I can see the light on the snakes wrapped around the fingers. That's really great. I'm kind of interested in like the barrier. It seems like everything else in the piece, like the hand is so well detailed and the barrier is just more like a blob. Like it doesn't really
Yeah.
have like a wooden texture or anything. Was that intentional?
Yeah, it was intentional because barriers sometimes they're physical and sometimes they're mental. They're not actually like something blocking your way, but you can't get yourself to go through something sometimes. That's why you have to push through it because although it's not real, it still is there in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can you walk us through how you created the piece? Did you sketch first? What did you paint first?
Well, first I sketched out just the general idea. I had a bunch of different ideas. None of them stuck. This one, just when I found out, like when I came up with it, I knew that was the one. And so what I first did was I sketched onto the canvas, and then I started with the black background because I feel like having a black background allows for the actual subject and the meaning to pop because there's nothing to distract you from what you're trying to convey. So I started with that, and then I worked on the hand because I knew that took a long time. And so I started working on that, and I just went back and forth with the different parts, the orb, the barrier.
Great.
Thank you.
So in this piece, what was your favorite part to do, and what was the most complicated? Because I'm seeing a bunch of.
He froze.
Yeah, he froze for me too. Give it a couple seconds. Oh, Mahmoud, you froze for a bit.
I froze. Did my question
Yeah.
come through or no?
No.
A little bit.
Okay. So what I was saying is, in this piece, I'm seeing a lot of things that are very complicated to do. What was your favorite part to paint, and what were.
Oh, he froze again.
I'm gonna assume
Well,
that
I'm
the
guessing
second
he's
part
asking
means
you what was the most challenging part and what was
and
the
blues. Yeah.
most fun part. Yeah.
So the most challenging was the hand because sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. It's kind of a hit or miss. And so I took a long time like fixing that up, the colors, getting it to not look as bland as it looked before. So I kept going to that even after I finished the painting. I still kept fixing it, but I feel like that's the most satisfying part. I love that part because I feel like that's what brings the piece together, gives it life. Because yeah, it is a centerpiece, but also it's just the realism. I feel like contrasts with the very flat color of the barriers and the snakes, and I felt like that was my favorite part. My least favorite part was probably the snakes because I had to figure out a way for them to look good so they didn't look too weird next to the realistic hand. Yeah.
Did you use a reference photo for the hand?
It was my own hand.
Cool. Okay, well, I don't have any other questions. Thanks so much.
And
Great
Mahmoud is mute, so he just left. Just give us 1 second. Let's see if Mahmoud reconnects, and then if he'll be able to ask his last question. Mahmoud, you're currently okay. Yeah. Do you have any last questions for the competitor?
I feel bad. I feel like I missed quite a bit there.
It's okay. You can come back and look at it in the recordings later.
Sounds good. Thank you, Sammy. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam. Take care.
Awesome. So I'll just bring in the next competitor in a couple minutes. Next competitor is Sarah Mohammed.
Cool.
Thank you, Anna.
And are you guys ready for Sarah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good to go.
Bring her in.
Assalamu alaikum, Sarah. Can you hear us?
Cool.
Can you turn on your video and unmute? There we go.
Assalamualaikum.
Hi,
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
how are you, Sarah?
Good, alhamdulillah.
So do you want to take 2 to 3 minutes, tell us a bit about your piece, the idea behind it, and then we'll ask you a couple questions.
Okay, so basically, so this idea, I got it during regionals, and it was basically the idea of light at the end of the tunnel. So during regionals, I tried to portray it kind of literally, it didn't really work out. So I was thinking, like, what are other ways I can do this, but not really make it literal? So I was thinking about what I'm comfortable drawing, and that would be like landscapes and stuff. So what I did is I made a dark background with the branches with no leaves because I wanted to resemble like winter. And then in the middle, I put like I drew a rose in the center that's bright, and that's like I would think the attraction of the piece. And basically, I'm just trying to show that like even in times of darkness, there's always light. And I tried to show this through nature because like nature doesn't stop. Like even though in the winter it may seem bland, it always comes back to life again in the spring or in the summer. So that's kind of like our life. Even during hardships, we shouldn't like give up because in the end we'll eventually bounce back up. So yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about your technique. How did you paint the piece start to finish?
Okay, so I used acrylic paint, and I used different shades to like blend it in because I didn't want just a plain black background or just a plain red rose. So I used like different shades and just like experimented with mixing colors and tried to see which would fit best. So that's kind of how I came to the colors. And when I was painting the branches, I kind of just let it be random. I was like, some of them are black, some of them are brown, some of them are gray. So we're just like experimenting while painting at the same time.
That sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this for? Have you been making a lot of paintings?
I do like painting, but haven't had much time to do a lot of them. This piece took me like a week. So.
Very nice. In terms of the reference point, because I really, really, really like what you did with the background, the leaves and the darkness of the light, the transitions. It all looks like super realistic. Do you have a reference point for it?
No, I kind of just I just kind of did it. I just went with the flow. I didn't really look. I feel like if I look at reference pictures, that's just going to confuse me. So.
You did a very good job there.
Thank you.
And I also noticed that you have white, almost equidistant spots. It doesn't look like it was randomly splashed on. Is that to represent this potential winter?
Yeah, I didn't want to splash paint because that would get on the rose and stuff. So I just, yeah, I did it like by hand. Just to like.
And your goal was subtle winter?
Yeah, just to add on to like the wintry theme.
Okay. All right, that's all from me.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Awesome. So I'll give us a couple more minutes for you guys to center your thoughts, and then I'll bring in the next student. Great. So I'm going to bring in the next competitor if you guys are ready. Next
Yeah.
Ready to go.
is Zainab Sayeda. All right, Assalamualaikum Zainab. If you could just turn on your mic as well as your camera, that would be awesome. All right, Assalamualaikum Zainab. If you could just turn on your mic as well as your camera, that would be awesome. Oh, I think you also have the live stream, so just close your live stream now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
How are you?
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm good. I really love your piece, so I'm really excited to hear about it. Do you want to take 2 to 3 minutes and just tell us a little bit about it, the idea behind it?
Okay, so my artwork is basically supposed to be viewed as if the viewer is standing within the piece itself. So it's depicting a dark cave or cavern, and at the end is an opening that depicts a very bright clearing, and on like the cave's exit, the words "Fatawakkul Allah" are inscribed. So basically, I'm big on subtlety in meaning, so I did not want for the meaning of my piece to be something that if you saw, you could right away pick up on all of the details. For me, it's more on the little details bring the piece together. So I have details such as a waterfall and even the types of vegetation visible and the color scheme that I've chosen all try to help me put forward my theme. So my goal is basically to show the connection between like the feeling of being able to escape that dark place or like an adversity to the feeling of contentment and reassurance to when you see like the exit of in a dark area or a way that you can trust the process by knowing that the exit is open. So for example, types of vegetation I have are red poppies, purple carnations, blue forget-me-nots, and they're arranged in a way to lead into the cave, and they kind of symbolize like emotions people may feel during like times of hardship. And at the other side of the clearing, I have herbs like thyme and as well as willow trees, and those are kind of supposed to represent like courage and what you feel after overcoming adversity. And the whole idea behind like the light after the tunnel, it was to like both appeal to people who would currently be going through an adversity, as in you should be trusting like that one day like the exit will come, and also to show a bit on reflection, because usually you don't notice when the point that you see the exit, or you don't recognize that moment until after you've overcome the adversity and you're thankful for what went on.
Great. Thank you so much. I get some like really intense Lord of the Rings vibes. Don't know if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, but it kind of reminds me of a Hobbit Hall a little. It's very beautiful. Your piece is beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit about the technique? Like I think I spot, did you use a fan brush on the sides?
Yes. So some of my techniques are just like just dry brushing on like the bushes and trees to add highlights, and with fan brushes and a little bit of water to make that light source to make like the falls itself pop out. As well as just like in general, I use sponging and just a lot of blending and layering, because I layer my acrylics a lot.
Mm-hmm. Do you sketch down your base first?
Like I do a general like rule of thirds scheme. So I'll draw like, for example, where the exit of the cave will be, and then I'll just circle a center around that and keep on going.
You pointed out exactly which type of flowers you'd put down. Is there any attachment to all of the flowers that you mentioned when you put them in? Do you just have a deep love of those flowers, or I feel like every piece here is exactly as you said, very intentional, and I'd like you to elaborate some more on that.
For the flowers, that was actually like a bit of my research part. Like I wanted to put a lot of thought into it, so that was something like I researched into, and I actually focused more on what emotions are represented by the flowers. So
Okay.
In terms of personal connection, I don't know, not so much.
So can you elaborate on that a little bit, just to highlight what type of emotions are linked to the specific flowers you chose?
Okay, so basically the meanings of carnations would be like alas for my poor heart, and poppies would be consolation, forget-me-nots, or as they say, forget-me-nots. And I wanted to kind of show the meanings of, for example, poppies, that when you're in like a hard time, you'd want for consolation, and you'd be like self-wallowing and thinking, oh my God, like, oh, poor me and stuff. But at the same time, I wanted those like herbs like thyme and stuff on the other side, and they show like courage and overcoming adversity.
Very nice, mashallah. And the last piece is the statement that you have written on the entrance of the cave there. It was actually very subtle. It was hard for me to make out what it was. Why did you go for that?
Because I wanted to kind of tie in that there is always like that religious piece of trusting in Allah, and I wanted to try to bring out the concept that you should always trust in Allah, even if sometimes you may lose your way, or it's not you may not recognize that it's your main focus. It was actually Him that got you through to the other side.
Very nice.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for me.
I don't have any other questions either. Thank you so much.
It's a great piece.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zainab. Take care.
You too.
Awesome. So I think that's just going to open us up to our last competitor of the day today. I'll give you guys a couple of more minutes to collect your thoughts, and then I'll bring that competitor in.
Thank you,
Okay.
Anna.
Just brought in Zukhruf now, who is our final competitor of the day. I'm just going to share my screen so I can share her piece with everyone. All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to see your piece.
Thank you.
Oh, I really like this one, actually. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
me
Sherry.
too. I was just going to ask Zukhruf to start with a 2 to 3 minute explanation of your piece. Tell us where the idea came from, and then we'll ask you a couple of questions.
Okay, so in my art piece, I try to reflect on the theme by looking back on a moment in my life which was probably one of the hardest moments ever for me, because I had to make the choice and leave everyone I loved behind. And so I painted the moment from when I was in the airplane moving to US from Pakistan. And for that, I needed some sort of strength, and I decided to turn towards Allah. And doing so made me be in a state of contentment and happiness instead of like worry, because when I put all my trust into Allah, that means that I shouldn't be worried for what's ahead of me. So that's what I did. And I also decided to paint a silhouette of a hand holding a tasbih to portray to the audience, to convey the message that I did at that moment to turn towards Allah. And I drew a silhouette because of the restrictions in the rule book, because we weren't supposed to make anything that was, too lifelike or realistic. So yes, I did that.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I love your interpretation of the theme. I think we've seen a lot of kind of walk towards the light sort of interpretations of it, and I think yours is very unique, very original. I love you drawing on the immigrant experience. I love the colors. The blending is great. It's not too smooth. It's not too rough. And the foam at the bottom there, the clouds, looks excellent as well. And the sepha in the hand is great. All the details are really well done. The colors are beautiful. Great work.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to walk us through the technique a little bit? Tell us how you kind of started with a blank canvas and how you got to the final piece.
Okay, so since I didn't actually have a reference for this piece, I decided to draw from memory and like a few pictures of what an airplane window looks like and stuff like that. So I drew a little bit of the outline from a pencil, and then I just started with gouache. I normally use watercolor because it's, I guess, diverse, but gouache is more pigmented, so I decided to go for that. And then I just painted the layers on, tried to do the darkest colors first, and then I went into lighter colors. And I did try to go for like impressionist theme, where impressionist artists used to try to capture light into their painting and they'd use their brush strokes, but my brush strokes weren't like similar to this artist. It was just that I had the similar painterly quality, I guess, as impressionist artists. And yeah, that's about it.
How long did it take you to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I said, how long did it take you to paint?
It took me about 2 to 3 hours of constantly painting. Yes.
It's pretty fast. I have a question regarding your choice of color for the evening sky or the early morning sky. Why those colors specifically? It's very beautiful, it's very colorful, but what was it invoking in you there?
The sky wasn't that colorful, but I did try to make it more colorful to maybe signify the moment more, you know, to make it look more important and more colorful, and why it was embedded in my memory more. Because things of colors tend to stay more in your memory than dull things, in my perspective.
For sure. I think you did a great job, and even the detail on the hand, the fingernails, the masbah, I think you did a great job with the beads there as well.
Thank you so much.
The use of dark versus light is again, just like how Trey mentioned, it's a unique take, and it's a very nicely executed take.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's all for me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zahra.
Take care.
Awesome. And with that concludes all of our 2D art graphic design interviews. Thank you, Mahmoud and Sherry, for being on our judges panel today. It was great having you and hearing your thoughts and questions. For all live stream viewers now, we'll be moving on to the photography competition in about a couple minutes. So hold on tight.
Thank you, Rana.
Thank you, Rana.
transition thing is so clean. What the heck? What'd you make it on? Yeah, that's how I did your Instagram post that one day. Hope you're streaming my voice.
Very fancy.
I'm gonna go into photography now. I need Amr to join the call. whichever judges can turn on their. Give me a moment. I'm going to share my screen with your submission on it. And tell me which photo I should open up first.
You can open the car crash one first.
Great. So the floor is yours. So how we're gonna run this is you'll have the opportunity for 2 minutes to actually tell us about your piece and run through the different pictures, and then Amar, and Warda will ask questions pertaining to that.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we're ready whenever you are, Raisa.
Are the pictures on your screen?
Yep. So if you actually see, you can click my screen, and it should say like view stream, and then you can actually see my pictures.
On her title card or whatever that you can see on the big screen. You might have to actually double click on her name too.
And if not, you can just open up your pictures and just navigate through them. It's totally fine.
Okay, yeah, I'll just do that.
Yeah. And just tell me which picture you're changing it over to.
Okay. Assalamualaikum, my name is Raisa. The first picture I have up is the car crash one. And so, as I mentioned in my artist statement, this was an idea I got from a family friend who ended up being in a car crash. It was a couple years ago, I think, and she was on the way to her new job that she had just gotten, and so she was terrified that she would be scrutinized for not showing up on time or whatever to her new job, and that was what she was worried about initially. And when she ended up getting there, there was I'm so sorry. She wasn't in the car crash, but she was late in traffic on the way to her job. And when she got to work, there was a huge semi who had plowed into the parking lot where she would have been had she made it to work on time. So she was telling me about that and how she's thankful that even though she was late, she avoided something much worse. Yeah. Can you move to the next picture? Can you move to Mast?
Which picture would you like for me to navigate to now?
Mast. Mask.
Yep. Opening up Mast. There. Are you able to see it?
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
So this picture it's actually a bunch of pictures that I had printed out or from my Polaroid camera or random ticket stubs from different things that I did over the past couple years with my friends. And you can't see them as clearly because I covered them as kind of a mask. So that's kind of showing how right now during this time with the coronavirus and everything, you can't physically see them mostly unless you social distance, but even that it's difficult to see everyone, and lots of things have been canceled, like competitions and such. And so even though you can't physically see them, they're still there, and these competitions and events, they can always be rescheduled, and you can go to them later when everything's over, inshallah. And it's a way of showing that even though everything is wrong now, we just have to trust that this is
like this is what's best for us, and this everything's going to get better, inshallah. And we do that by like doing our part and wearing masks and whatever. So, I guess can we move to the next picture, the last one, medals.
There you go.
Thank you. So this picture I took because I do robotics at my high school, and so we thankfully got to go to one competition this year. And during that competition, during robotics, like they have like the robot game basically where we send our robots to compete in a series of events, and so we made it to the finals for that, and we were like super upset that we didn't, get to keep going and like get a ticket to like the national level competition. And so that was really disappointing for us. But in the end, we ended up winning a different award, which gave us like a sponsorship to the national event. So in the end, that was better. And like I said, like the whole theme of my pictures is basically, even when something seems like it's maybe like the worst possible scenario for you, or like it's something super bad, in the end, maybe if you just trust in it, then it'll turn out for the better. So yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome. So let's just open this up to the judges to ask questions.
Amir, you want to go first?
Sure. I guess to first start off, all the photos are taken really well. I like how you related like the theme to like the car photo and the mask photo. In terms of questions, I guess, why do you choose such a thick sheet to put over the photos in the second photo? Like, I get you were saying the whole mask thing, but like it's actually pretty difficult to see all the different photos, and I was wondering if there was any reasoning behind the thickness of the sheet.
Originally I had a lighter sheet, but then it was like basically transparent. You could see everything like perfectly, and I wanted it to be kind of difficult to see like the exact details, because it's kind of like we don't know the exact details of when this whole pandemic is going to end. We don't know like what's going to happen with the whole thing in like a year, maybe a couple months. So that was the reason why I made it more like blurry, I guess.
Okay.
Sorry, Amrit, you broke up. Which question did you ask?
Oh yeah, sorry. My question was basically like in the masked photo, why was the sheet like really dense, or at least more dense than not? Yeah.
Okay. So my question is especially for the car photo, what elements or principles of art did you use? Like, why did you select having the toy cars as a visual representation of the theme?
Honestly, I wanted to take this I wanted to use real cars, but obviously that's not something like I can't make a real car crash. But so it's also kind of like making use of what we have at home during like quarantine and stuff. So that's why I used like the toy cars instead, to like represent on a smaller scale what really happened.
Awesome. Do the judges have any other further questions?
Actually, one more quick question about the cars one. Why did you decide to make it like crisp in the foreground where the cars are looking at the other car that's crashed, and like blur out the crashed car?
to kind of like signify the importance of like what you avoided. So like something ultimately bad in the background that led to like the brighter side of it, like where you weren't hurt or where you didn't get into the crash.
And is that the similar principle involved in the metal photo as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions.
Awesome. In that case, thank you, Raisa, for your time.
Thank you.
No worries. I will move on to the next competitor then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. So I'll just give you guys a couple of minutes to just collect your thoughts as I bring in the next competitor. I'm going to share my screen, and that's going to have your submission on it. All right. Perfect. I can see you. Everything looks great. So I'm just sharing the pictures in the method that you shared it with us, which is in the PDF. So Salwa has these 3 pictures. Please tell me which order you want me to go into.
I can't see your screen, but I guess the first one is the picture of the glacier.
The glacier, yep. Yeah, so open that PDF and then you can actually go through it and then I'll actually scroll at the same time. Perfect.
Okay. So this is a picture of a glacier that I took in Alaska. So basically what it represents is that like essentially like a glacier is made out of like water and snow and ice, and so to get to where it is, it has to go. For a glacier to be formed, it has to go from the top of a mountain. Water has to go, and it flows down directly into a larger ocean. And the path getting there is not easy. It goes through all of these hardships to be able to get it to where it is. When it gets there, we are given this piece like a glacier, which looks really beautiful, and by that it resonates with the theme when it goes like the adversity as its path to getting through the water and making it its visual appearance, and then its visual appearance is how it's content and how we look at it today. The second picture is a picture that is of the walkway to the Al-Aqsa compounds in Jerusalem, and it kind of presents the pathway that Muslims in Jerusalem in the old city have to, all the hardships that they have to go through every single day. That is actually the actual lighting